exchanging my ideas with the people. I was wearing mask not to protect myself, but to protect others. Because I have some cold. I think this is an idea which I borrowed from the rationalists. Dilemmas continue to haunt me. Whatever I may read, whatever I may have worked, doubts still persist. Questions keep on coming. Why I have given this introduction? Before I talk, I'll let you know. President of this meeting, Mr. Srinivas, author of this great voluminous book of 18 chapters and 535 pages, Dr. Rationalism బుద్ధ విశాల్ అనబడే బుచ్చన్న గారికి, శ్రీనివాసన్ గారికి, అనువాదకుడు విమల్ గారికి, సత్యనారాయణ గారికి, సభలో ఉన్న మిత్రులందరికీ నమస్కారం. చాలా రోజుల కింద విషయం, మంచాలి సభలో ఒక విశిష్టమైన వ్యక్తి ఉన్నారు. ఆచార్యులు శేఖరధర్ గారు, ఆర్థిక శాస్త్రంలో ఆచార్యులు, చిరకాల మిత్రుడు. గత 4 దశాబ్దాలుగా వారితో అనుబంధం ఉంది. మనలాగే ఆలోచించే వాళ్ళ లోపట, ఆలోచించి మదన పడే వాళ్ళ లోపట వారొకరు. ఫస్ట్ ఐ విల్ narrate about the dilemma. The book is in English. No doubt it is translated. The original work was in Telugu. And I'm supposed to release the English version of the book. But the invitation extended is in Telugu. And the president of the meeting commenced his speech and the proceedings, followed by Sir Vishal in Telugu and also Srinivasan garu. So which is that language which I am supposed to speak? అంటే ఇది అనుకుంటే డైలమా, అనుకోకపోతే ఏం లేదు. That is how we constantly question ourselves, keep on evolving and trying to answer. The answer I thought, which I have found, subject to your approval, maybe whatever little I speak would be in both the languages. That is the best way of doing justice to the book and to the meeting. నేను సమావేశానికి వచ్చినప్పుడు మిత్రులు ఇంతమంది కూడా లేరు సభలో. సభాధ్యక్షుడు వారు సభ ప్రారంభించాలన్నా లేదా అని వెనక ముందు అవుతుంటే నేను చెప్పిన, మన సమావేశాలకు ఇంతకన్నా ఎక్కువ జనం వస్తారని మీరు ఊహించకూడదు అని అన్నప్పుడు నాకు ఒక జ్ఞాపకం. ఆచార్యులు కేశవరావు జాదవ్ గారు బతికున్నప్పుడు సందర్భం. ఆయన, కాళోజీ గారు, నేను వాళ్ళని కారు నడుపుతూ మాట్లాడేది వాళ్ళు ఎప్పటి నేను కూడా పోయిన ఆమన్గల్ అని ఒక గ్రామం ఉంది ఇక్కడ దగ్గర. కాళోజీ గారు దేనికి భయపడేవారు కాదు, ఎండకు మాత్రం భయపడేవాడు. ఆ రోజు 43 డిగ్రీల ఎండ. సమావేశానికి పోయినాం 12 గంటలకు మిట్ట మధ్యాహ్నం. మేము పోయే వరకు 4 ఉన్నారు, మేము 3, 7. తర్వాత ఇంకొక 8 మంది, అంటే 15 మంది. కాళోజీ గారు ఉన్నారు. ఆయన అందరినీ ఒరే అనేవాడు. ఒరే జాదవ్, ఏంట్రా ఈ మహాసముద్రం? ప్రారంభించిన సమావేశం అని అన్నవాడు. ఆయన అంత వచ్చింది మాట్లాడేది. 57 నిమిషాలు మాట్లాడాడు. అంటే నేను ఇప్పుడు 57 నిమిషాలు మాట్లాడుతానని కాదు. నేను అడిగానే, మీరు ఎవరు అడిగారు సభలో ఏం మాట్లాడతాం కానిద్దామని చెప్పన్నారు. 57 నిమిషాలు మాట్లాడారు. అవునరా, 15 మంది ఉంటే మనం మాట్లాడేది ఒక్క అర్థం చేసుకుంటే చాలు కదరా, వాడు ఇంకొక 4 మాట్లాడతాడు కదా. అందుకొరకు మనం మాట్లాడేటప్పుడు మన ఆలోచనలు ఇతరులతో పంచుకునేటప్పుడు సమావేశంలో ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారని అనుకోని మాట్లాడడానికి మనం ఏమన్నా రాజకీయ నాయకులు మారా? ఆయన ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని మొదలు కనుక్కోమంటాడు, ఎంతమంది వచ్చిండో కనుక్కో. లేదు సార్, హాల్ నిండలేదంటే ప్రోగ్రామ్ క్యాన్సిల్. ఇది తరచుగా జరిగేటువంటి. దేశంలో ఆ రోజులు వస్తే బాగుండే. ప్రతిసారి వాళ్ళ సెక్రటరీ కనుక్కోవడం, సభను ఏర్పాటు చేసిన వాడిని ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారంటే ఎవరు లేరు సార్ అని వాడు చెప్తే బాగుండే అనేటువంటి రోజులు దేశంలో వస్తే అదే మార్పుకు సంకేతం అని అనుకునే వాళ్ళలో నేను ఒకటి. సరే, I will not go into a major analysis of the book. Book has been introduced, it has been assessed. గ్రంథ పరిచయం అయిపోయింది. ఆ పుస్తకంలో ఏముంది అని మాట్లాడే బదులు ఏమీ లేదని మాట్లాడడం తేలిక అనుకుంటా. చార్వాకుల దగ్గర నుంచి మొదలు పెట్టుకొని రామాంజులు, ఆదిశంకరుడు, ఎంఎన్ రాయ్, మహాత్మా గాంధీ, బుద్ధుడు, జైనులు, మధ్వాలు, వాళ్ళు చేసినటువంటి పనులు, వాళ్ళ ఆలోచనలను చాలా నిశితంగా గమనించి చేసినటువంటి ఒక విశ్లేషణాత్మకమైన గ్రంథం ఇది. నేను ఉగిరన్న గారిని అడిగాను, ఏంటి మీరు ఎట్ స్ట్రెచ్ హ్యావ్ యూ రిటర్న్ దిస్ బుక్ 535 pages? లేదు, వ్యాసాలు రాస్తూ వచ్చినాను, ధారావాహికగా కొన్ని 8 చాప్టర్లు ఎన్ని చాప్టర్లు ఒక పత్రికలో ప్రచురణ జరిగింది. ఆ రాయడం మాత్రం రాస్తూనే ఉన్నాను కంటిన్యూస్. అంటే ఒక తీరిక చూస్తే అది కంటిన్యూస్గా కూర్చొని రాసినటువంటి పుస్తకమే. ఎందుకంటే ఆ భావజాలం, ది ఐడియా which he wanted to propagate or enunciate and or share his understanding is present from page 1 to 535. The message is loud and clear. To me, the Constitution of India, as by law established, is the most living rational document. because more or less it speaks about all the values which the rationalist and the humanist speak, write and propagate. It speaks about equality, and most importantly, it speaks about equality in status also. అంతస్తులు అవకాశాల్లో సమానత్వం, స్వేచ్ఛ, న్యాయం. And it's a peculiar order which perhaps subject to correction with any constitutional scholars or students are present here. It speaks about the idea of justice as social, economic and political. The priority is given to the social justice. And it speaks about the secularism, idea of secularism which is present throughout this book. Laukika. Of course, a debate is recently raised that there was no word secularism as such incorporated in the constitution when it was enacted, but brought into surreptitiously, I don't know how a constitutional amendment can be brought in a surreptitious manner by the notorious 42nd constitutional amendment. I also agree that the 42nd amendment was a notorious amendment because it has taken away many guaranteed rights of the citizens. But they forget one thing, that the idea of secularism is present throughout the constitution. That word, that expression secularism may have been added into preamble, but the idea is present throughout the constitution. A document which speaks about equality, a document which speaks about liberties, a document which speaks about equality, a document which prohibits discrimination between one group and other group, between one religion and other religion, between one caste and other caste. Can be and can only be described as a rational document. What else that document is? That's very good. In the class, paper class in the proponent of the idea of radical humanism, because I'm only referring to the name, not to the idea. Idea emanates from Buddha. That is the quest for truth. Don't accept anything on its face value. Question everything and you find the answer to yourself. That is the truth. And he applied to himself. Buddha never said, I am saying so, therefore you accept it. I am saying so, therefore you believe it. He never said it. The fundamental thesis, the very idea of Dhamma, is that whatever that is visible, whatever that is you listen, whatever that you observe. Question, find the answer. And if you don't find the answer, your quest in search of truth continues. That is what is rationalism to me. Constitution of India speaks about rationalism because it commands the citizens to promote the idea of scientific inquiry and temper. But the whole of the science may be rational, which is also coming under a serious challenge now from the present regime. But whether every scientist is rational? We talk about the space. We talk about ISRO. And then what date the rocket is to be launched? We consult the astrologers. And it has got mixed, astrology and astronomy both got mixed into one. The manufacture, the preparation, the idea that goes into the launching of rocket is nothing but pure science and technology. Nobody got inspiration from anywhere. It's our own making. But recently we find that for launching a rocket into the space, we consult the astrologers, if not the God himself. I have not read anywhere any one of us raising this question. What is that the launching of rocket into space has to do with the astrology? Not gonna Acharya garu ఈయన పెడతాడు ముహూర్తం. రాకెట్ లాంచ్ చేయడానికి ముహూర్తం ఏంటి? వాతావరణం అనుకూలంగా ఉందా? ఈ సమయంలో దీన్ని ప్రయోగించగలుగుతామా? ఇప్పుడు చేస్తే వచ్చేటువంటి అడ్డంకులు ఏముంటాయి, ప్రమాదాలు ఏముంటాయి, ఇప్పుడు కాకపోతే రేపు చేస్తే బాగుంటుందా అనేది కూడా సైంటిఫిక్ థింకింగ్. ఏమైనా సరే మరి ఇవన్నీ చేసి మీ ఆలోచనను పక్కకు పెట్టి పంపించినవి కొన్ని వెనుకకు వచ్చేసినాయి కదా ముహూర్తాలు చూసిన తర్వాత. What is our answer for that? We don't have any answer. We have not questioned themselves. We have not questioned ourselves. Therefore, we did not find any answer for that. Accepting certain events or acts without questioning itself is irrational. Even the radical humanists, or for that matter the idea of radical humanism, or the rationalist associations or rationalists themselves, perhaps are required to question themselves and their ideas, which they have been practicing, say for the last, at least from the time of M.N. Roy, in the form of associations. The idea of rationalism goes to Buddha. They are also now required to question themselves. Are we updating ourselves? Did we stop questioning certain things? Just now, while exchanging notes of my recent experience about my visiting the whole country, from hopping from place to place, I was sharing that my experience with Professor Chakala. At the end of my campaign, some senior editors wanted an exclusive off-the-record talk. All of them posed one question at me. What is that you have noticed throughout the length and breadth of this country? There must be something. Different people, different states, different tribes, different castes, different communities, different religions, each may have their own problem, their own issues. But what is that one thing common you have noticed? It was a very difficult question. I said, one thing I have noticed and myself experienced is that everybody is under a constant fear. Unknown fear. How would the rationalist answer this question? What is their understanding of fear in the framework of rationalism? We are experiencing certain new difficulties directly juxtaposed and faced with the diabolical ideas. Should we change? And update our tools as to how we propose to deal with this newly emerging threat. Like any and every Democrat, the rationalists also face this problem, about which there should be some brainstorming sessions. It's not easy to answer that question, therefore brainstorming sessions. But I do not know why Dr. Veerana, for some reason, it has escaped his attention, or I do not know. Modern thinkers like Gandhi finds a place in his book. Baba Sahib's name is prominently mentioned. And rightly so. Not because he later became a Buddhist, not because he made that famous statement that I'm born as a Hindu but I will not die as a Hindu. After making that statement, within few days he got himself converted into Buddhism. Along with millions of people. The mention of Aryans. But why Nehru escaped your attention, Dr. Veena? In his lifetime, Nehru never practiced any religion whatsoever. That's why he is today under constant attack. Not because he did not do this, not because his economic policies were wrong, not because his five-year plans were not acceptable, not because he was fascinated and proficient in English language. The only sin he committed was that he kept away the communal forces at bay and constantly struggled with them. He believed in science. He built the scientific and technological institutions, and today we are reaping the benefits. Atomic Energy Commission, ISRO, was his brainchild. Modern irrigation projects were his brainchild. And the man who did not practice communalism in any form whatsoever until his last breath. I think his name should have been found, and as and when you revise that, I hope and trust Nehru would find his place in your monumental book. Certain amount of churning has taken place when I was reading his book. I'll be failing in my duty if I don't place it before you. Dr. Virana accepts Gandhi was a saintly figure, practiced and believed in non-violence, but says that his ideas were rooted in religion. I take slightly a different route without quarreling with him. Gandhi's idea of Ram, Gandhi's idea of Gita, is not rooted in any particular religion. They were, Ram to Gandhi was a limited constitutional personality who believed in democracy and ruled by consent, with love and affection to the people. Dr. Lohiya expanded this idea. You have described him, Dr. Lohiya, as an atheist, and rightly so. But somehow it has escaped your attention that Lohiya used to conduct every year Ramayana Mela. Why? Was it because of religious? Was it because a Ram Bhakt or made an attempt to build a temple for him? Same question again. He said, maybe it is myth. Maybe they were not historical persons. But the idea of Ram, Krishna and Shiva are inbuilt into the psyche of this nation. So how do we understand, as a modern political thinker, committed to the idea of constitution and democracy and liberalism. How do we define them? How do we understand them, those personalities? He said, same thing, Rama was a limited constitutional personality. He did not overstep the limitations that were imposed upon a ruler. Krishna, in the name of doing justice, in the name of doing nyaya, violated every conceivable norm. Every conceivable norm he violated. Not only he lied, but made others to lie. Then Shiva, but he said, if Rama was integrating this country from north to south, because he came to Danakara, alleged to have, all right, I'll say, stated to have come from Ayodhya to Dandakaranya. Krishna travelled from Dwaraka to northeast, integrated west with the northeast. And Shiva, a non-dimensional personality, invisible, and left to one's own imagination what it was and what he was, what he did, what he did not. This was Dr. Lohiya's understanding. Coming back to Gandhi, I'll tell you one instance. There was one cow, Avdura. Gandhi, whether he treated cow as a sacred or not a sacred animal, or it fits into his concept of non-violence broadly, that calf was suffering from an incurable disease. The vets said, no, it won't survive. It will continue to suffer like this. Said, he asked, do you have any system, any vaccination or any system or injection, whatever, to terminate its life? And he got it administered to that calf and relieved it from the pain. What do you say about now Gandhi? Was it a rational idea or an irrational thinking? His inability to see a person or an animal suffering from it. Now we come to a major question. Gandhiji never attended an arranged marriage within the community, caste. He attended the marriages where they were intercaste. And he never visited any temple and practiced any ritual except to defy the law. The Vaikom Satyagraha, where he did not enter into the temple, made others to enter the temple. Only once he visited, that was Benares, Kashi, and he found all round filth and dirt in those days, not clean at all. He said, if a religious place is filled with filth and dirt, unless they are cleaned, environmental friendly, I would never visit any temple in my life, and he stood by that word. Therefore, certain ideas of ours, be it about Gandhi, be it about Nehru, are required to be, I don't say modification or changed, but updating ourselves. Because no rationalist, I believe, accepts that the moment you find an answer to the question and your search comes to an end. Same question keeps on coming up in a different format, in a different formula. Rather, to use Puranic language, in a new avatar. Therefore, our search continues. Our quest for truth continues. Therefore, some of our ideas about Gandhi, if we have to effectively meet the challenges from those who want to own Gandhi, Ambedkar, as well as Lohia. Those who have adopted them without their consent must be told that you have nothing to do with them. You have nothing in common and nothing to do with them. You can't borrow Gandhiji's glasses and put on some, what is that, Swachh Bharat Karyakram, whatever it is, and say that we have become Gandhis. The man who fought with his own party, with his own government, and ensured in those days 25 crores of rupees were to be given to, quote unquote, the present enemy country. And when there was some delay, he undertook the fast unto death. Not that there was enough money lying with us at that time. Because he thought it is a justifiable demand. The truth and justice was on the other side, therefore he said, no, it is your bounden duty, you must do it. Coming back to the question of caste, it's a big elephant in the room. Whatever you do, whatever you don't, it comes itself. Like Gandhi, Lohia also gave a very serious thought to that question. He said it's an overwhelming factor in India's life. Those who deny it, in principle, also accept in practice. If you have to go back and relate to the idea of Gandhi, that means you are not truthful. Simple. You are not truthful to yourself. Live about others. Life moves within the frontiers of caste, and cultured men speak in soft tones against the system of caste, while its rejection in action just does not occur to them. అంటే గుసగుస పెట్టుకుంటున్నాను, తప్పు కదా, ఇట్లా చేస్తే ఇట్లా వాడేదో ఇంటర్ కాస్ట్ మ్యారేజ్ చేసుకున్నాడని అమ్మాయి పట్ల మనం ఇట్లా ప్రవర్తిస్తే ఎట్లా అంటే మాట్లాడుకోవడమే సాఫ్ట్ టోన్స్. బట్ యూ డోంట్ రివోల్ట్, యూ డోంట్ క్వశ్చన్, యూ డోంట్ గో అండ్ స్టాండ్ బై దెమ్. Therefore, there is no correlation between the speech and action. And what is that he received in his life? Calumny and hatred. ఏమనుకుంటున్నాక అంటే మొత్తం పాగాలే, ఇప్పుడు పిచ్చోడు, ఎవడు చెప్పినా వినోడు. ఆయన ఒకసారి చనిపోయే ముందు అన్నాడు, అంటే మిమ్మల్ని అందరినీ అట్లా గమ్మని చెప్తాను నేను, ఇక పిచ్చోడు అయితే తప్ప ఈ దేశాన్ని కూడా రక్షించలేడు. పిచ్చోడు అంటే అర్థం ఏమిటంటే ఏ నాన్ కన్ఫర్మిస్ట్ హూ డు నాట్ జస్ట్ సేల్ విత్ ద విండ్. వీడు ప్రతిదానికి ప్రశ్న అడుగుతాడు, ఏమయ్యా వీడి ప్రశ్నలు ఎప్పటికైపోవు. But that is exactly what the Constitution says. The rights are yours and the duties are of the government or the state, whatever you may call it. Therefore, we are making an attempt to reverse or at least bring them into coexistence. Whenever you talk about the right, the state would reply, no, you also talk about your duty. But the Constitution says the duty is of yours. If you look into the provisions of the Constitution, there is no word power. Power of the Prime Minister, power of the Chief Minister. It speaks about the duties and functions. All the rights incorporated in the fundamental rights are the rights of the citizens. That we have lost our ways somewhere. Somebody said to Dr. Loya, perhaps those who have gone abroad, Europe and Western countries for their education, have freed themselves from the shackles of caste. He said it is they who practiced caste more and more compared to at least a few of them residing in this country. Because it emerges into a separate class, that caste transforms itself into a class of English educated, and all of them, if not one particular caste, from the upper caste, and the marriages take place amongst themselves. Therefore, there is no question of their breaking away from the caste. In fact, they perpetuate the caste. అందుకని అప్పుడప్పుడు మనకు మోహం ఉంటుంది, లేదండి అతడు వెస్టర్న్ ఐడియాస్ ఉన్నాయి అతనికి, మన ఈ పురాణాలు ఇవి భాగవతాలు రామాయణం మహాభారతం వాటి మీద అంతా ఆయనకు పెద్ద విశ్వాసం లేదు అనుకుంటే మళ్ళా మనం తప్పు చేస్తాం. ఇవన్నీ ఎట్లా అంటే there is no other go except to continuously question and find an answer for ourselves. Like Vemana, perhaps only one who raises the question and answers himself. He raises the question and answers, and leaves it us to consider whether it is acceptable or not. ఒక చోట అంటాడు లోయ, ఐఎమ్ కోటింగ్ హిమ్, కాస్ట్ రిస్ట్రిక్ట్స్ ఆపర్చునిటీ, restricted opportunity constricts ability. Constricted ability restricts opportunity. అంటే విషయాలయం అంటాం కదా. Where caste prevails, opportunity and ability are restricted to ever narrowing circles of the people. Unquote. India's experience is conclusive proof that caste turns a country into the arid desert of intellectual inadequacies. అంటే నీ మేధోశక్తిని కూడా చంపేస్తుంది. ఏంటి ఇంత దూరమైన కాస్ట్ మీద ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నాడు ఏమిటంటే, perhaps I am nobody to advise them. Time has come for the rationalists and the rationalist thinkers, humanists, రాయ్స్, whatever we call them, ఒక మాటలో అందరిని ఒక దగ్గర కలిపేయాలంటే హేతువాదులు అందరినీ, కొన్ని విషయాలలో పునఃసమీక్ష చేసుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం ఉందేమో. అంటే రివ్యూ నాట్ జస్ట్ ఫర్ ద సేక్ ఆఫ్ రివ్యూ, but has the time come, whether prevailing circumstances are compelling us to think and review, if not revise, our earlier opinions, either on Gandhi or on caste. Certain meaningless doubts which are fundamental in nature constantly troubles the mankind. We all included, I suppose, in that mankind. Mankind అంటే women లేరా దాంట్లో, mankind అంటే విశాలమైన ప్రపంచం గురించి మాట్లాడు. Such as whether illumination of the soul is a religious practice. What is the idea? I would like to know about the rationalist and humanist about the soul. So suppose somebody wants to peep into it. That's what Buddha did. Illuminate yourself. Find the light in yourself. Is it a religious act? Buddha never said his preachings should constitute a separate religion. It is we made into a religion, and ultimately it is we who drove him and his philosophy from this land. Because the biggest mistake the followers of Buddha committed was to make it a religion and a religious practice, against which he was fighting all his life. I think I have already violated my assurance given to you that I am not going to speak long.
We are happy.
But go on and speak.
No problem.
I'll conclude it in a couple of minutes. Buddha and his Dhamma operates in an autonomous ethical domain. You can never separate the morals and ethical values from his Dhamma and his philosophy. So also Gandhi's concept of non-violence is part of ethical space. Non-violence, Gandhi's non-violence doesn't operate in a vacuum. Its space is ethics. Perhaps this is one area where rationalists, radical humanists, whatever name one may choose to call them, have to, what shall I say, re-engage themselves and arrive at a reasonable, rational conclusion. I am telling the rationalist to arrive at a rational conclusion, so that rationalism itself does not degenerate into a religion. We alone practice, people who share our ideas alone can think in this religion, would make and convert any rational and radical ideas into a religion and lead us to a dangerous path. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your forbearance.